Welcome to the last week of our OpenHPI course about Internet security. This week is dedicated to privacy. So we will discuss different aspects of privacy, of private sphere, and data engineering. And what is of particular interest are the digital traces. Every interaction with an internet service leaves a digital footprint. Some of these traces are obvious. For example, if we send an email, then of course the email is traced on the email server of the sender, on the intermediate system, on the receivers, on some router. Or if we try to connect to the internet, then we have to give the IP address to the internet provider, so the internet provider can follow all what we are doing, what we are doing in the internet over that connection. Other interactions leave less obvious traces. For example, cashless payment translations, or use of discount cards, or so-called hidden web beacons in web pages. So in most cases, no one knows who is involved in the data processing, who sees this data, who is operating this data, who is storing this data, and where this data are stored. The who and the where are important questions concerning the trustworthiness of that kind of activity. So if we look to the private sphere, like we have it in the physical world, then the private non-public sphere is defined as the sphere in which a person has a right to freely develop on one's own personality, unaffected by external influences. And this right to privacy is considered a fundamental human right. Now, when we look to the digital world, then this data privacy brings a lot of different aspects that need to be considered. For example, how to protect data against unauthorized data processing or against unauthorized data storage. Because when we send data over the internet, people that are connected to the internet, they have access to the internet, and they can also take our data to do something with it. An aspect of the data privacy is, of course, the right to informational self-determination. The humans have the right to determine by themselves what's going on with their data. Special protection, of course, is necessary for personal data to protect the right to privacy in data processing. How this is organized is a difficult question, and how the different devices and entities in the internet deal with it. This is what we want to have a closer look in this week. So the term privacy today is very common used in the digital context. Here a lot has changed compared to our traditional understanding of privacy in the physical world. Something is necessary so that the technique is working, but of course we have to think how this encompasses the digital private sphere and the data privacy in the digital space. The digital footprints, of course, they contribute to violation of private sphere. So for example, when we use an internet service like Google or Facebook, we have to accept that some data are traced. We often give our data even voluntarily, for example, to the social networks, often without considering the possible consequences, that later on it's very difficult to get back the data or to delete the data. This is a huge problem in social networks. Or if one shows his party pictures as a young man or woman, and then later on one says, perhaps it's not good to have such kind of pictures freely accessible in the internet. But even the correlation of seemingly unproblematic data can lead to a violation of the private sphere by combining data from different sources, so that in each source it's not a problem, but in the combination the data tell a lot of the specific of a private life. So where and by whom data is processed is often unclear. Where or whom stores our data? So the answer to that question is crucial for data privacy. There is an additional fact that makes it difficult to deal with this. Data privacy law is a national law. And when we consider activities in the internet, this is a global activity. So there are many different national laws affected. Laws for data privacy, they differ from country to country. In different countries, the people have different, more strong or more relaxed relation to that topic. So if we look to Germany, for example, financial transactions are sometimes critical, since the transaction should be executed via servers outside Germany. So another national rule come into place. So what we want to do in this week, in this course week 6, we will look at the digital technologies, at different technologies, and will ask the question how this different digital technology can endanger or compromise privacy and data protection within the digital world. So we look and consider card payment and bonus cards. We consider smartphones and personal devices, for example, wearables. We consider motion profiles in the real world that can be concluded from services, GPS service, location service from smartphones. We consider the monitoring on the internet, for example, by national security programs like PRISM. We discuss various aspects of cloud computing, when cloud computing is used for personal data. And of course, if we look to the future with smart home and smart metering, then there are a lot of aspects to consider when we consider privacy and data protection. In this coming week, we also will discuss where and which data accumulates and by whom it is processed and stored. And we want to extend your knowledge and give you some hints how you can protect yourself. But like in all course weeks, we hope it's an interesting program. We wish you a lot of insight and, of course, to have fun, and invite you, particularly for such kind of topic, to come into interaction with other learners and start discussions in our discussion forum.